sending, and then they send new sound through, this medium that's just three-dimensionally vibrating. I've never heard anything sound so crappy in my life. And, it's not the mixer, it's not the equipment, it's the venue. And I did a little reading, and I ran across some posts, that basically said the same thing. Somebody went to go see Metallica at SoFi and said that they couldn't even understand the lyrics. It was just blaring and bouncing, and it was a fantastic show. They had beautiful LED screens, so you could really see what was going on. And Ronnie Wood and had these just beautiful guitars, not to mention the stuff that Keith Richards had. I mean, they had just splendidly beautiful looking instruments, but it was a total clusterfuck.
Well, there you go. I like clusterfucks, especially when I'm involved in it. At least that was the old days. Now these days, I'm engaged. So I try to be mellow about that. But we're going to go back to that in 1 second, Chris. Thanks a lot for mentioning that. However, welcome to Thinking Out Loud with our friends. 217 consecutive times in a row. That's better than Stephen Wright's joke when he sees someone closing a store that said open 24/7. And he says, hey, the sign says you're open 24/7. And then the guy says, yeah, but not in a row. So there you have it. I've been listening to a lot of Stephen Wright, man. That guy was funny as hell. I think he's still funny. I don't know if he's still out there touring, but I diverse. And so let me go back to where I'm. So thanks for coming. Remember, everything you hear today is an opinion. And so welcome, everybody. And we were talking about the Rolling Stones. And just remember, everything you hear is an opinion. So do your own research. I recommend highly you go see the Rolling Stones. And you, too, can say how good the sound was. There you go.
My friend Curtis, my guitarist pal, went to see them in Vegas, and apparently that was a really good venue, and he just said it was absolutely amazing. But SoFi, I will never go to another concert at SoFi. I don't care what it is. It's just there's no acoustical treatments. It's just hard surfaces. There's no place for the energy to dissipate other than just banging off stuff until
It was great here in Seattle.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it's just a shame. I mean, thank God, I can't, beggars can't be choosers. I was given these tickets, so it was a great show and it was enjoyable, but the sound was just really, I'm used to sound. I'm a drummer. I got a headache. We left after the last tune and they did 2 encores. It sounded better outside than inside.
Well, there you go. Now, is it possible you're getting old?
No, I had, like I said, I had two friends that went on Saturday, and one had really good seats. One was kind of on the opposite side of where I was and a little bit back. And both of them just said it was just absolutely catastrophic.
Well, here's the interesting thing. And Dave Natale gave his curves out to the world. So evidently, he's sagging a little bit, right?
No, I don't think it's engineered. It's
nothing.
It's a difficult haul, but other engineers and companies have done it quite well. I witnessed one back in 2022, and it was my first time at SoFi, and it blew me away. And so, yeah, it just, and it could have been a bad night,
Hey, listen, we have one of our panel members, David Dansky, happens to live in the SoCal area, and I am sure he is familiar with that venue. Are you, David? I think David. There you go.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We hear you now. Something's in the background, so whatever it is, shut it off.
No, I can't. I'm in the car, and Myrna's having a conversation, and I'm having a conversation.
Oh,
I
it's
can't really
so
talk.
yeah. So it's she's drowning you out.
Yeah, she's on the phone, and I'm on this, so I'm gonna have to hang up. But I haven't
Well,
been to a show
tell her to
so
get
far.
off the phone. You wear the pants in the family. Don't you forget that, all right? You know.
How come I get
Anyway.
to be? How come I get to be Michael Maxon today?
Yeah, I don't know. How come? Why did you do that?
I didn't do it.
You have to do it. You had to do it.
I just logged in and it says I'm Michael Maxon. So this is
Oh,
great.
okay,
I can say all kinds of crazy shit.
Oh my God. So click on the button, the three dots, and you could change the name. You could change your name. So evidently, because Michael had written me, Michael had written me that there was a guy that he wanted to get on the panel with us. And so I sent them the link. So maybe you were talking with Michael, and that's how it happened. You were being funny with him because you are hilarious. I think that's what I mentioned.
I just
that
clicked
you
on
are
the link.
hilarious.
I just clicked on the link, and I must have clicked on Michael's link.
That's what you did. You clicked on Michael's link. Oh man, he's gonna love it.
You know how I do it is I search my email for Zoom, and I get the link for every one of these shows, and then I have another email search for the other two shows that I'm involved with. So, and I have different keywords.
Let me ask you this. I mail out an invitation for the show every week. Usually I do it in the morning on Wednesdays. Sometimes I do it before then. And one of my questions that I had written down on my pad was, when is the best time to let people know that the show is going to happen on Wednesday? Is it an hour before? Is it the day before? Is it over, on Monday? What do you guys recommend?
Jan, you're also putting out Facebook links and, everywhere else advertisements. I mean, I saw one at 1 a.m.
Pay for less
Eastern
shoes.
time on
Pay
Monday.
for less shoes. We're advertising at Pay for Less Shoes. We've got something running in 7-Eleven. We've got, I'm trying to get all over there.
No, all I'm saying is, to answer your question, what you're doing now is fine for me. But, we have other people, in significantly different time zones than I. So.
All right. Now, speaking of different time zones, I hear somebody from Australia. Is it possible?
Yes,
Wayne
it is
Sims?
possible. Yes. I just look at the email, Jan. It's always good for me.
All right. Well, listen, we got a group going that, this basically everybody in the room is basically what I would call irregular, not irregular, regular, irregular, but it could sound like irregular, but we are irregulars as well. We all have that kind of weird on the edge sense of humor. That's what I like. You probably all love Anthony Jeselnik. What a comedian he is. If you're not familiar with him, YouTube him. He is hilarious if you like the dark side of life comedy. Very, very good. Really, really good. So anyway, speaking of time, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, we had this conversation about clocking, right? Do you guys remember that?
Yep.
Well, now, because of man-made pollution, they're saying, and I have the article right here, because of that, what they're saying right now, climate crisis is causing the length of each day to get a little longer. The phenomenon is striking a demonstration of how humanity's actions are transforming the earth, scientists said, rivaling natural process that has existed for billions of years. So the change in the length of the day is on the scale of milliseconds, but this is enough to potentially disrupt internet traffic, financial transactions, and GPS navigation, all which rely on precise timekeeping. So we in the industry, we use timekeeping as well to sync our things, our recordings, our streams.
Yes, but time is relative. So the fact that your atomic clock doesn't care how fast the world is spinning, it just cares how fast the cesium disintegrates.
Well, there you go. I think we have a song title there.
Yeah. I mean, somebody can run an internal network at a completely different clock rate than anybody else. But the problem is when you want to share that with somebody else,
Correct.
you know, it's like having a standard railroad width side, you know.
Gauge.
Are those railroad tracks you're talking about?
Yeah. You
Oh,
know,
there you go.
a train
See-
from one country can't travel
Yeah.
in another country because the rails are too thin.
Yeah, the gauge is different, but the very, very best was in France. They got an order. I think it was Alstom got an order, and they made a whole series of new train cars, you know, and they know the gauge of the tracks and all that. But somebody effed up on the measurements of the width, and these things would have gotten crushed because they would have hit the side of the station when they pulled in. So they had to chip off like 40 centimeters off of the decks on the stations so that these new cars could make it in. That's brilliant, man.
That sounds like what happened to the Hubble telescope. Remember that, you know?
Oh, the mirror, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody was using inches and somebody else was using meters.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was kilograms and pounds. That's why that aircraft in Canada ran out of gas. But the best one I ever heard was in North Carolina, and this is like 30 or 40 years ago. They, you know, before they had Dig Alert and all that stuff. So this guy's out working on a project with his backhoe, and he just rips a phone trunk that's like about this big in half, right? So they get the phone company out there, and they have a mobile rig with all of the splicing equipment and everything you need. And so the technicians got out on the site, and they got everything cleaned up, and they, you know, trimmed it and got everything ready. And it starts to rain. So they've got a large truck. So they just put the cable kind of in the back of the truck, pulled the cable inside the truck, and began, you know, matching all the pairs up and splicing the cable back together. So they worked for about 48 hours. They got it all done. And so they had the guy out there with the hoe and the whole thing to put the cable back in the ground. And then they realized that the cable was coming in the front door and going out the back. So they called up. So essentially the vehicle is around the cable. And so they took the jaws of life and cut the truck apart to get the cable out.
Yep.
Well, there you have it. That was an interesting story. Okay, I like that. That's good. So what else then? What happened?
That's just like anybody who's ever soldered like a 1/4 inch and forgot to put the screw-on part onto the cable first, and you do this beautiful termination, and then you realize that you've got to unsolder it and put the thing on, and then you can do it again.
Well,
now,
that's called a red.
I can see Wayne laughing because he has done this just as
I have done. Yes, I've done.
Wayne tells me that he does this every day just so he has something to do, because he can figure things out like that,
It is annoying, but when you've done a really good connection of a cannon or a plug, and then you've realized you haven't put the cover on.
Hey, we have a celebrity in the room today. Bruce Fallis is in the room with us. Hello, Bruce.
Hello, Bruce.
Hello, Bruce. Hello, Bruce. Hello.
Hello, Bruce.
Okay, I got
Monty
it.
Python. Thank you, Monty Python. Thank you very much for.
How is everybody tonight?
Everybody is good. I speak for everybody now. Everybody is good.
That's great.
Except for the 6 Vietnamese people here in Bangkok that took a cyanide cocktail. Have you guys heard about this?
Yeah.
What happened?
Like laced tea or something.
That's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I am here in Bangkok, by the way. That's where I am. And today, just a little aside, today is one of the biggest days of our lives. And so I will have to leave pretty promptly today at the end of the show. But today at 9:30 Bangkok time, and you guys can figure that out in your head where you are, what time it is. I'll just give you an idea that right now at this very moment, it's 7:21 in the morning. So at 9:30, little more than 2 hours, Bo is going to be meeting with U.S. Immigration for her fiance visa. And we
Wow.
are very
Wow,
excited because we believe that she's going to get it. But I just want to show you something. If you can see this package, I don't know if you can see how thick it is, but it is at least 2 inches thick of paperwork that is required that we bring in to immigration. Now, that doesn't count all of the countless amount of documents that I've submitted online already. This is the additional superfluous stuff that they're asking for. 2 pictures, passport, a police report, medical reports. And by the way, the medical reports were sent directly from the hospital. So there's only a copy of the pages of the medical report, but the full medical report with the disc was there. So the package that they're getting, for each person has got to be about that thick. And it's insane.
And never mind the legal fees, because I went down that exact trip. My ex-wife was a French national, and we went through the same gig, and it was expensive and long.
Yep,
Wow.
I'm over the 10,000 mark. I mean, it's like basically we moved from Phuket to Hua Hin. I didn't want to live in Bangkok. Bangkok, the air is no good. It's a major city. 14 million people live here. God knows how many people are here every day. It's a concrete jungle. Where we're living is just gorgeous and lush and beautiful and inexpensive and everything that you could want. Hua Hin, it's spelled Huahin. If anybody wants to Google map it, you will see we're right on the water. It's just an amazing place to live. I highly recommend it, but not for everybody. So stay away. Actually, it's a horrible place. I wouldn't go anywhere near it. I don't even know how I'm living.
So, Jan, are you going to get married in the U.S. or in Thailand?
Well, we have
What's
to
your
be
thoughts?
married
What's
in
your
the
thoughts?
United. My thoughts are we're going to get married in the United States. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's it. Because basically the fiancé visa gives you 90 days to get married. Then what you have to do is you have to file what they call an advancement of status. Is that right? Am I saying that right, Chris?
Well, the other
adjustment of status. Adjustment of
Yeah,
status.
yeah, just the one curveball here is that you can get married anywhere in the world. It has to do with where you live in the first 3 years after your marriage that determines the jurisdiction of your marriage. So, for instance, my ex-wife and I got married in the United States, and we stayed here long enough that it was a U.S. marriage. Had I returned back to France or to Madagascar, it would have been a whole different ballgame. We would have been the marriage would have been under the jurisdiction of a different legal system.
Interesting. Yeah. Did not know that.
I would prefer to get married here in Thailand if I had the option.
If you go back to Thailand and live after you get married, it will be legally a Thai marriage. It will not be a U.S. marriage.
Right. And you see, the Thai marriage is the best kind of marriage because the way the Thai people do it, there's no prenups. Everything that part of the marriage certificate is everybody lists what they have, and that goes on the marriage certificate.
Yeah, and it's a division of it. Yeah, I mean, you're basically determining communal property prior to, or wiping everything off of communal property prior to marrying. Yeah.
That's right. And the reason they do that here is because there's so much ancestral land that people have. That their great grandfather, grandfather, and so on and so forth.
So when you get back, you won't have to do a Thai official Thai wedding, right? The U.S. one will carry you over?
No, yes. I think you have to do something called exequatur, which basically means that you take the U.S. marriage certificate and you file it with the Thai authorities, and then the Thai authorities say,
they recognize it?
Okay, yes. That's interesting. Could you spell that, please?
No.
EXAQUATURE, exequatur.
There you have it. There you have it. That's all
Okay,
right.
who's,
Yeah,
who's
good.
gonna do sound at the wedding though?
I know. I think it. Yeah, I think you don't need to. You don't need to record me crying. That's all. Don't worry about it. It's all
Wow.
right. So anyway, what else is going on? Let's see.
Jan, the other thing I would say is, seeing that it's political season, no matter which way you're leaning, it's best to get this done this year.
Well, there's the immigration system in the United States is as broken as can be. And I don't care whether it is a Democrat or a Republican in the office. It's not, unless someone really sits down and tries to figure out how to make legal immigration easier, then we're going to have a lot of problems at the border. And that's all there is to it. For a guy, I mean, think about it like this, okay? I am a successful businessman, all right? I own my own home. I have a business. I own a business. And I've been with this woman now for 3 years. Last night was our anniversary of being together for 2 years and 9 months. That's pretty impressive. We've only been separated for 4 times where I've been back to the United States, and once for a week when she had to go back for her brother's funeral, which I did not want to go to because I had to work. And I just couldn't be in the middle of nowhere for that. If I would have known the guy and close to him, but it was just one of those family matters that she had to take care of. But the reality is that we are legitimately engaged. We are a legitimate relationship. We know each other as two people could never know each other unless you live with each other day in and day out. And because she takes care of me, that's her job. Her job is to take care of me. She's made a decision that she preferred to take care of me than do anything else. And that's what makes her the happiest. And I've agreed. So the reality is, it should be super simple for me to bring her to the United States with me, but it's not. And not only is it not simple to bring her to the United States, we've gone through months and months and months of dealing with immigration, lawyers, and now the rules. Now listen to this. If you don't know this, Chris can vouch for this. What's going to happen is when we get to the United States and get married, we have to apply or not apply for what they call an adjustment of status. And during this period of time, we cannot leave, or she cannot leave the United States. She must stay in the United States. That's right. She must stay in the United States, and it takes a minimum of 1 to 6 months for the adjustment of status to kick in so she could get the green card. So that is the next step. Then once she does that, she's mandated to stay in the United States for 2 years while the paperwork processes. And then if she decides she wants to go for the green card, it's it's an insane amount of time, basically.
So when you guys come back and you're going to get married while you're back here, and then you're here to stay.
That's the plan.
So you're here to
plan.
You'll be back to stay for a couple of years then, right? Or a while.
That's the plan, but I can tell you, I could tell you that it's probably not going to be. But we are planning on getting married, and I will let you know everything that needs to be known when the time comes. First, we have to go do this. Today at 9:30 Thai time, we are going to know for sure whether we get this visa. If we don't get the visa, there's no way in hell that Bo's going to go through this process again. She's just not. And so the next process would be, we get married here. If she doesn't get the visa, we get married here, and then I apply for a spouse visa.
So in a perfect world, would you spend some of the time in the United States and some of the time in Thailand? You ping pong back and forth, or do you want to settle?
That's exactly what I would do.
Okay, so when all this is settled and done, you're not going to park someplace and not come back, not come back to the U.S. or not come back to Thailand. Well, that's cool.
Yes. Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, I'm a world citizen. I have the ability to go anywhere in the world. I have the ability to go anywhere in the world.
Well, you'll keep your business going though, won't you? As long as you're into it, right?
As long as I'm, right now we're making some major changes with Soundbroker that is going to make it so that I am not so dependent on sales anymore, but sales of classified ads. Soundbroker has an amazing amount of SEO, I guess, Chris could explain that better than I can. But basically, if you do a search of anything that we have on our website, we're going to come up on the front page, search engine results. So if whatever it is, we're going to come up. So if somebody's looking for what we've got, they're going to find Soundbroker. Usually it's either above the manufacturer or under the manufacturer. But a lot of people have been smart enough to buy my name. They buy Soundbroker in an advertising in Google Words and whatever, so that they come above us. However, it doesn't really matter. Soundbroker is a name that you know and trust. We've been doing it 27 years. Nobody can take this away from me. We were the number one company to go online doing what we do. Number one. And everyone else has copied us. My biggest competitor right now, because I basically only have really one competitor left. The guy monitors my site, and if I make a change, he makes a change on his website too. So they say imitation is the most sincerest form of flattery. I say fuck that shit. Don't flatter me so much. Fucking come up with your own fucking ideas. But anyway, so that's what we're doing. There's going to be some changes happening in Soundbroker, but I do want to continue doing it because I love what I do. But then again, you get these wankers calling you up, right? And they don't have 10 cents, they don't have 2 cents to rub together, and they want to, and they have no idea what we do for a living in regards to the entertainment world. They think that they could just put some money down and they're a sound company, or they're a lighting company, or they're a staging company. And especially when, they see these mobile stages out there, they think that, wow, if I bought a mobile stage, I'll get rich. But they don't know anything about it, nothing. And the reality is that when you put stuff above people's heads and it comes down, it could kill somebody. And because of that, you just can't just jump into something that you have no clue about whatsoever. And I get those calls on a regular basis right now, because it just seems like, wow, mobile stages are everywhere. I want to get one, So,
Wow.
And I have to be very careful with these people. And of course, I have a way of getting them to feel like they could work with someone else other than me, because, I just don't know what I'm talking about.
So do you rent anything out? Rent it out?
Well, that's a very personal question,
No, I didn't mean girls. I meant, like gear.
Yeah. That's even more personal. No, we rent nothing.
Nothing.
We like to sell. We would have made so much more money if you look at companies like Kurt's company, for example, or Ken Porter. In the old days, I don't know what his return rental is right now. In the old days, it used to be 10%. 10 rentals, 10 times rental. You would own the gear. And then from then on in, you would be making money. Now, I think it's more like 60 times, Kurt. What would you say your times rental is?
Well, it's not 10. It can be for lower ticket things, but yeah, the big stuff's way too expensive to do that. You could never line item that kind of number. It's probably
I mean, like, I think like a Panther, where you're looking at, just for retail price somewhere in the neighborhood of $14,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just that's retail value, and you can't just rent one of them. So let's say, what's your average?
Times 100.
Yeah, times 100, right?
Yeah.
So basically the rental income comes up, and you make money off of rentals, but it takes a while to own. But once you own it, then it's a cash cow. Like, he had some older speakers, he had some melodies, and those melodies, they were melodies, if I remember correctly. And every time he rented, it was pure profit. The whole problem with that is that they do get old, and you have to start replacing them. People don't want them anymore on the bigger gigs, and the better gigs, the corporate gigs. Nobody wants old speakers. They all want the latest and the greatest, right, Bruce? I mean, when you go out there
to a degree, yeah.
You're not gonna You're not going to say, I want some voice of the theaters for this gig, in the ballroom. You're not going to do that. It's just not going to happen.
But as long as it looks good still, you can get away with older stuff. I use Melody in corporate all the time and nobody blinks at all. It's still
I have two kinds of clients. I have clients that are production people who want the name brands, and then I have clients who do not have a production company between me and them, and they don't give a damn what we use as long as it works. And it looks decent when it's hanging up. So yeah.
When I worked for Al Siniscal over at A1, Al taught me some, very, very important things. Number one, he taught me the number one thing is when I would go try to, I was a salesman marketing, and I would work on getting the shows. And what he said to me is, he says, the best thing to do is let's try to design the system for them with gear that we have here in the shop. And it doesn't matter what the gear is, as long as we give them good sound. And he would go like that. Good sound.
Right.
And, because the reality is you can't make any money if you're sub-renting. It's impossible.
All the time, yeah.
So that's number one. And so number two, the longer you have it, the more money you make. And in the wintertime, especially in the wintertime, when touring is not so prevalent, then it's a lot easier at that point in time to have, so you could rent your gear, you own the gear, so there's no cost there, but the cost is the employees, and you're making money to keep your employees going.
Well,
So
yeah,
Kurt,
and the initial capex for the purchase, yeah.
Yeah. Kurt, did you say it was 60 times? You have to do 61 week rentals till it pays for itself?
Oh, I don't know that I've got the formula that defined, but it's certainly not 10.
Oh, because I thought you said more like 60. I thought you said
It would be probably more like that. And it's going to be different for every item. An SM58 will pay for itself way before a Panther.
Right. Or I noticed sometimes, a wireless mic kit will pay for itself pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's no rule that's going to apply across the board.
Yeah.
It's going to be different in every component.
Well, I knew when I worked for AVHQ back in the old days, I was there 17 years, and I know their rule of thumb was take the price of the gear and divide it by 10, and then that's your 10 1-week rentals, and you divide that by 3 because it's a 3-day week, and that's how we that was our starting point for determining what stuff was going to rent for, and it would shift, and then things changed as stuff got older. But I left there before 2000, so that was like. That was so damn long ago. It was unbelievable.
So that would work for an SM58 at $120. That would be $12 a rental. That's completely a doable thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
A Panther.
Are they really 14 grand?
Yep.
Wow.
No, that's the retail price. That's the retail price.
That's a retail price.
I think it's 13.8.
That'd be $1,400 a box. And let's say you've got 32
14,000.
So you can't charge your client $44,800 for stacks and racks on a one show.
Yeah, yeah.
So it might work on a microphone, but it doesn't work on a larger ticket like that.
Yeah.
Or consoles, they're the same thing. You're never going to get 1/10 of the purchase price of a Digico.
Yeah. And then you have the issue of these things are not homogenous. I mean, Panther is not the same as, some cheap shit Chinese array. And, just...
Tell the client that.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's tough. Yeah, yeah.
A lot of times it's a financial thing, when you go into a venue or you're bidding on a gig, it's, if it works like this, Bruce, and you probably know it if you've been bid out. The reality is you like to work with somebody, whoever it is, you like working with that person. And because you like working with that person, you're going to skew it for that person to get the gig. I mean, there's been times where I bid on a gig, and the guy will call me up and he says, hey, listen, you got to come down, if you want this gig, if you want to work with me, you got to come down about $1,000. If you can come in $1,000, I can assure you that when I submit all the bids, yours is going to be the best,
Right. Yeah.
If they can direct you like that, nobody, there's also such a thing as there's some people that are really unethical and they will want money under the table. They will want, they'll sit down and talk to you and say, I'd really like you to have this gig, Jan, but you know, my TV set in the living room broke. And I don't know what to do about it. And by the way, here's my
Replace
address. You know, here's my address.
All consumer electronics are essentially just throwaway items now, unless it's something absurdly simple to fix. It's cheaper to just buy a new one.
Well, I had someone tell me that the refrigerator wasn't working, and they, you know, and I don't know what to do about that, you know. But here's my address if you want this gig. You know, this is where I live.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know, I think I happen to have a refrigerator at Sears and Roebuck's. He says, you know, I would prefer Best Buy. I said, okay, Best Buy it is. You know, that's all there is to it. You know, you can't you know if you want the gig, but most companies are legit, and most people are not looking for a handout. You know, so you can, you know, I mean, look, Kurt's in a very competitive marketplace. There's one other guy in his marketplace that seems to have more gear and has, you know, that Kurt's fighting with all the time over pricing and gigs. You know, but when you put together the equipment and the packaging of the equipment and the personnel, all of a sudden you can compete with the big dog, right? So, you know, it's a game plan. You want it, you know, the better the gear, the less money, the better people. That's the ticket to success. And, you know, advertising, marketing, and of course, the most important thing is schmoozing. Schmoozing is amazing.
Well, it isn't ever about any one particular show. It's about the bigger picture relationship stuff. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, so
But,
many
you know,
people getting into this business don't understand how big a relationship part of it is, because, you know, people hire you because they trust you. It's not because you have JBLs or Vertex or, you know,
It's
VDOS
all
or-
that.
yeah.
Well,
99%.
99% of the gigs I do, because I can get whatever I want from wherever I want, whatever city I'm working in. But, you know, like one of my clients always says, you know, I don't care what room we're in or what show we're doing, the system always sounds the same. I don't have to worry about you. You do your thing, and it is what it is, and I don't have to think about it. And it always sounds the same.
right.
So,
Well,
you
the
know,
thing about you, and the thing about Kurt, and the thing about everyone in this room that has got the experience that we have is that you're buying you know, and as I'll tell people like this, a monkey could do what I do. A monkey can do what I do until something goes wrong. And then you don't want a monkey. You want me.
right.
And that's really where you come in. It's your expertise. Because if something goes wrong, the odds are that you are going to be able to identify what that problem is and fix it before anyone else in the room knows that the problem had taken place.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's probably why Fred's working all the time. You know, I'll bet it. Fred, I see you're lurking in the background. Could you pop in?
I did pop in. I was a little late today because we were troubleshooting a private network issue. Somebody plugged a cable into our private network and it was just flooding it with all kinds of traffic, and our cameras were going up and down, and they couldn't move anything around. And so we went through and we did all new firmware updates and software updates and the controllers and everything, and we put it all back together, and it still had exactly the same problem. We're like, okay, now we're going to take a laptop and we're going to go A to B to C to D to E to F, and all of a sudden there's a cable. We unplugged it and everything started working.
Yeah,
But
but
Man.
there's a very easy fix to that, depending on what kind of switch you're using. But if you've got a switch that's manageable,
these are all just dumb switches, and there's sometimes there's 6 of them stacked before you actually get to the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but
I mean,
if you have managed switches there, they have what they call a MAC table, so you can basically put in authorized MAC addresses, which means they'd have to spoof the address, and they'd have to know that address was in your table. And the other way you can do it is by assigning ports to VLANs, and then that way, if somebody plugs something in, it kind of connects to nothing.
Well, you could just take your ports one at a time and just push them to a VLAN, and all of a sudden your problem disappears. You know it's the one that's plugged into that port. Same thing that we did. We just did it manually.
Fred,
Oh
this
yeah,
is
no,
Yes.
that's
exactly,
the only thing you can do. Yeah.
this is exactly, Fred, why you are not supposed to tell the monkey to patch the network.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. And that goes to my point. If you didn't have the experience that you have, you wouldn't have known where to start to troubleshoot. That's what I'm talking about right
The
now.
good thing
That's what
about the
I'm
day
talking
though
about.
was that everything got updated. So now we're all current with our software everywhere in the system. So that was good.
But there's banana peels all over the floor of the server room now.
Exactly.
Mm.
And then figuring out what's been there. I mean, there's been 3 different engineers work on this place. So we're tracing cables and we're going, okay, why does it jump from this building to that building? And then how did it get from here to there? And why, when I got the fiber working, didn't I take it out of the back of the fiber frame and just go 3 feet instead of having to go 500 feet down the hall and come off of some other switch? Yeah.
Well, there you go. You learn, and now the next time that happens, you won't make that mistake.
That
I
can
didn't
be
make a
great.
mistake. I don't know who plugged this thing in, but we're going to find it tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
Bring your
There
wire
are malevolent actors,
not for the
people that
cable.
can get access, inside of a hotel. All they have to do is just stick a little box into that switch somewhere or anywhere on the network, and they can do all sorts of dastardly stuff because the little box has a VPN connection, and then you're inside of a perimeter. And oh man, yeah, physical access to networks is a real issue.
It is an issue, especially in a government facility, which is what I'm
Oh,
working.
government.
Yes. But it's a private network. It's a private network that's dealing just with the television equipment. So luckily it's not. Luckily it wasn't on the government network. Otherwise we'd probably all be fired by now. But no, this was just inside of my own private network. All the wireless mics, all the cameras, all the recording decks, the sync generators, the modulators.
Honestly, I would suspect on a mill grade network they wouldn't allow anything but a managed switch just for that reason.
Well, no, this is just two engineers ago, as they started getting this equipment in that had a port on it. He said, I need to be able to do software updates. So he put together a private network. It's a private internet. Nothing is supposed to be touching it inside the building. It's strictly inside the building. It's on its own.
I see what you're saying. There's no connectivity.
It's air
There's
gap.
no internet. There's no nothing. It's just a way for all of these things to talk to each other. So if I want to go update my wireless mics, for example, I can go into Wireless Workbench and I can go turn all the rooms on, and I can see 50 different wireless mic systems, and I can go, okay, deploy, and it'll go out and it'll put new frequencies in all the receivers, and all I have to do is go back and resync all the transmitters, and now all my interference problems go away. So it makes life really easy to be able to just sit at your laptop and troubleshoot stuff. It's really cool. But for some reason, we found this rogue entity plugged into our network today, and it was like, and it's labeled like the camera controller. It's got a label on it. So we'll find it tomorrow.
Well, there you have it. Hi, David.
So can you hear me now?
Hey, Dave. Yes.
We hear you now, and now you got Myrna in the back seat. I can't believe it. How'd you do that?
Where is she? We're at the Hollywood Bowl. We're waiting for a little more time before we go in. It's big band night. Count Basie Orchestra and a bunch of other.
I was talking to David the other day, guys, and he was telling me that he's going to the Hollywood Bowl tonight, and he thought that parking was $80.
Well, it's 45.
$45 for parking.
Why
for
did
2
you park
hours.
at the zoo? Park at the zoo. It's free and it's $6 for the shuttle round trip.
Not worth it.
So that's what we did a couple of weeks ago. It's great.
No, it's too far. The zoo's on the other side of the mountain.
It only took 10 minutes to get over there.
Hey, Bruce, he's got a working wife, man. He can afford this shit, man.
Yeah, because I said to my wife, I said, I don't want to park at Hollywood Bowl. And she said, no, go to the zoo. And I said, do we need reservations? She said, no. So we got there. The first bus went over to the Hollywood Bowl at 5 o'clock. We got there about 10 minutes of 5. We hung out with a bunch of old folks, got on the bus, 10 minutes later, we were at the Hollywood Bowl. We had a big old picnic. We saw the show and we walked to this, we followed the green arrows and we got back on the bus and went back over and got our car. It was just, it was so simple. It was way too simple. It was, I hadn't even done anything that simple in a long time. I was imagining all kinds of screw ups, like the bus got a flat, and they run the buses like nonstop. They had a shitload of them. I mean, it was very painless and a lot.
Oh, it must be the overflow parking. Yeah, because at the Hollywood Bowl, it's limited parking for sure. So you're paying a premium.
Even more limited. They took one of the big lots and they're now using it for buses only.
Yeah.
So,
from the zoo. That's right. There you go.
There's 3 big remote lots.
And Uber. Buses and Uber. They're trying to make it so that the traffic on Highland moves. And apparently that's worked, but there's fewer parking spaces, so they raised the price.
So trying to make it like LAX.
Oh man.
Yeah. Listen, before we go any, Christopher, I have a question for you. You were telling me about the fastest hard drives that I could get for USB-C.
Right.
What was the manufacturer?
Sabrent. So a buddy of mine's a race car driver, and he turned me on to these drives because when he's finished with a race, they download all of the telemetry off the car onto one of these Sabrent discs, and I didn't realize just how fat the telemetry is. Like he does endurance racing, and it's like several terabytes of data.
Wow!
And when they're done with a race, Sabrent, Sabrent.
Oh, Sabrent. Okay.
And they're available right on Amazon. You can just get them delivered the next day.
Perfect. That's what I have to do.
By the way, speaking of Amazon, it's Prime Days. Did anybody order anything?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, my daughter got her Southwest tickets to come visit us. It was pretty good.
On Amazon?
Yeah, it was part of the Prime package, yeah.
Tell me about that. I'm curious.
Well, my wife sent her the link, so I'm not really sure. She just said, she just texted me and said, I sent Daryl the Prime. She said, I sent Daryl a link. It's Prime Plus or something, sale on Southwest tickets. And I said, oh, that's cool. And then like an hour later, my daughter texted me from San Antonio and said, Dad, I got the tickets for September. And she sent me the screenshots. And I was like, really? I was like, I was surprised. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I bought a computer travel bag that I can take to Europe with me because I wanted to carry more than just a computer and more than the backpack that I already had. And it arrived today. I ordered it yesterday.
Wow.
Well, they have in warehouse. A lot of them have warehousing. The reality, of course, is you got to be very careful now when flying. Not only that you don't lose a door or a wheel or, people urinate in the aisle. It's getting crazy. I mean, this professional NFL player asked the stewardess for ice. Did you hear about this story? Where he tapped her on the arm and says,
tapped her on the arm and asked her for a glass of ice, and he got arrested literally when he was getting off the plane. Yeah.
Why?
Because the steward made up some bullshit about how he had assaulted him, and there were witnesses just saying that's not how it went down. And but they were there, a little greeting party for him when he got off the plane.
Oh
yeah,
my
they
God.
arrested the guy, and now, of course, that woman is no longer with American Airlines. But I mean, it's amazing what there's fighting on the planes now. It's like definitely like the WWW. There it is.
It's kind of like the earthquake in LA that everybody thinks the entire city is now rubble, and it's only a tiny spot. I'm flying all the time. That stuff just doesn't happen.
I've had incredibly good luck flying. Yeah. Knock on wood.
100,000 flights a day, and you hear something once a week. It's like nothing.
I can't even remember the last time they lost my luggage. I mean, even late planes and all that. But, here's what I've done, though. I always fly nonstop, so if I can, and sometimes there'll be 10 flights across the country and 2 of them are nonstop. Well, I'll get to LAX at 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning to get the first nonstop out of LAX, because that leaves me the rest of the day as a cushion if they screw up, to still get there. And I go nonstop. So once I'm in the air and I'm on the plane, you're as good as there for the most part. So I have a bunch of little rules that I go by when I'm flying, but for the most part, I've had no problems since since the 80s, I mean, it's, and I exclusively fly American also.
Well, I'm
Well,
American.
I've had some problems. I've had some problems with my carry-on when I fly via jet. Or via jet is it's like Southwest, and they weigh your carry-on, and I've had to take it. This is the craziest thing. I had to take things out of my bag to let the carry-on, and so now I'm holding it in my hand and my bag, and she said, "That's fine, go." So a second to turn the corner, I put it back in the bag, but it's happened to me,
The only problem I had is on like the Emberers or whatever those are called, the older ones have the little tiny hatches above the seats. And my carry-on bag that I carry my 3 laptops and all the paraphernalia that makes them work, that bag is a little thicker than the doors on those. And so I've had trouble, getting those in. And they don't want to put laptops underneath the plane because the battery bullshit and all of that.
Did you hear about that?
Well, I'll be damned if I'm going to take all the batteries out of all my laptops. That's just like stupid. So,
well, you can't.
You can't on an Apple.
Right, Apple you can't. Right, but I travel with 2 Apples and two Macs and 2 Dells, and the 2 Macs are in my backpack, and the 2 Dells and all the paraphernalia are in my. It's a carry-on bag, but it's designed a little bit different, and it houses all that stuff beautifully. It's got big ass wheels on it, so it rolls over anything, And
You should talk to David about maybe getting a porter case.
Porta case?
You have to look it up. It's a case. It's
I'll
a regular
write that Porta case.
Porter. They don't make them anymore. You're going to have to find them used, but they turn into a luggage cart that can hold 300 pounds or 200 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
The
it's like crazy.
The handles are on the wrong side. The handles are on the top and the wheels are on the bottom, so that the handle can flip open. So when people
interesting.
try to take it, they try to drag it the wrong way. But it's an incredible case. Jan has one. A lot of guys I know have them.
I have my whole set of luggage is G-RO, which now got bought out by somebody. They're called something else now, but Soro or something like that. But yeah, they have these huge
by the
tires.
way, David, I can't use the porter case when flying. When I could probably use it flying out of Bangkok, but I could not use that porter case flying out of Phuket because it was too heavy. And that was when I was having the problem. The porter case weighs too much, at least the one that I have, the black case. I think maybe the plastic one, the gray one, it weighs less, but I don't have one of those.
It doesn't weigh that much. You must have just packed it with too much shit. That's all.
No, it really weighs too much. My new suitcases that I have is much less weight, like maybe about 2 kilos, and 2 kilos is a lot.
Well, don't forget,
2 kilos.
4-inch wheels, steel axle. It's made for carrying 200 pounds of weight. It's not thin.
Well, yeah, I got to say something, David. And take this with a compliment. This is the best video and audio you've had since we've started. It's amazing. It's what do you guys think?
Sounds great.
It doesn't have the sun coming through the window of his office.
So from now on, Dave, you have to be at the Hollywood Bowl parking lot in the car. That's all there is to it. That's the edict.
And have an app right after you log on. That was fun.
By the way, just an FYI, I ended up getting I am doing this now on my new MacBook Pro. I love it. It is so fast. I got the Max Pro 3, but I could not get any higher than a 48 gig. The 64 was a special order, and so I've got this with Apple Care, and it's phenomenal machine. Phenomenal. Apple has really hit it out of the park with this MacBook Pro.
Where are you at, Jan?
I'm in Bangkok right now. So we're getting near the 8 o'clock mark, and I just have to let you know I made Tina the co-host. You guys could stay in the room, but the reality is that I have to start thinking about going to the embassy. It's a 9:30, so we have an hour and a half. So I have a little bit of leeway in time, but I do want to pack and stuff and get ready.
Well, we're going to meet our friends right now, so I'm saying goodbye. Nice to see everybody.
Bye, Dave. Good to see you.
Hello.
Have a good show. Watch this.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
by the way,
Jan-
just an FYI, the postage stamps are all going to be going up this weekend. You
They're
know,
already
I just
up.
can't, I cannot believe how expensive postage now for first class mail is. But then again, who's using it? You know, the only people using it are sending you bills in the mail. I guess I don't get any, you know,
So
I get very
Costco
little
went up
stuff.
too. Costco went up $5 a year.
Yeah. I have a Costco membership, even though they don't have Costco here in Bangkok or where I am. But, you know, I use their credit card processing services. So I have to stay as an executive member.
Did you
I'm
see,
Jan, I
the,
wanted
addicted.
to.
you see the article about the meteorite that flew over the Statue of Liberty?
No.
No.
But if you hum a few bars of it.
Us being sound guys, I had to talk about something sound related. Today's news sounds suspiciously like the plot of a Hollywood blockbuster. A loud boom heard over the skies of New York City this morning, likely stemmed from a meteor entering Earth's atmosphere, according to NASA scientists. Bill Koch, in charge of NASA Meteorite Environment Office, said the meteor traveled at 34,000 miles per hour and passed above the Statue of Liberty before disintegrating 29 miles above Midtown Manhattan.
Wow.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Holy.
That's fast.
That's
And,
pretty
and
fast.
speaking of NASA, did you hear that they beamed Nicki Minaj, a song by Nicki Minaj, into outer space? The only other time they had done it before, they beamed the Beatles song back in the late 60s, early
I
70s.
remember that. Yeah.
And now they picked Tina probably has been following it on Facebook or whatever, or she's Googling it right as we speak right now to see if it was really Nicki Minaj. I think she's Googling it right now. Are you
What's the-
Googling it, Tina?
What's the song that's on the record that's on
Yes.
Voyager?
Is it
There's
Nicki
a bunch
Minaj?
of-
Did I get
There's
that right?
But it's definitely not on the Voyager record. Nicki Minaj wasn't even born then.
No, that's what I'm asking. What's the song that's on the record that's on Voyager? There's a song included on that. There's a bunch of
And there's a gold record. I
Gold
think.
record.
Yeah, with instructions on how to create a phonograph.
Yeah,
I think it's Johnny Be Good.
it might be Johnny Be Good.
Johnny Be Good, and there's also a blues song, a very famous blues song. Gosh, I can't remember the artist's name, but yeah.
Oh, it was actually Missy Elliott.
Oh, Missy Elliott, not
Okay.
Nicki Minaj. And
No?
what song was it?
Now I was going to say Nicki Minaj. I mean, like, you know, sending out Anaconda butt into outer space would probably.
I think
not
that would be a good idea.
Okay.
I would love it. I mean, that would give that kind of like would sum up what America is all about. You
You're
know,
going to attract the wrong kind of alien.
Oh, Jan, I wanted to mention, if all things go well for you and Bo, you should stop by the restaurant at the La Meridian right across the street from the American Embassy. They have a wonderful afternoon brunch that will rival the one that y'all did a video of when you were down near the river. So
yes. Well, last night for our anniversary, I took her to eat crab, jumbo crab, Singapore crab at this place called Jumbo Seafood, and it unfortunately, you know, all things must change, and this restaurant changed for the worst last night. It was horrible. Service was bad. The food was cold, and the crab was spicy. So other than that, it was perfect. You know. Anyway, we're getting near the 1 hour mark of streaming, and I want to say goodbye to everyone in the streaming world. We'll be in the room. We'll keep talking. I have to get up and do my thing, but everybody can talk about it. So that's it. Anybody have anything you want to say to the crowd who's still listening to it? By the way, our audience is increasing every week. We're getting more and more YouTube followers and more Facebook viewers. So you guys are doing it, man. People like you, and you're not even going out and clicking the like button and sharing the feed. Oh, good. Well, everybody should be doing that. Everybody should be, you know, clicking the like button, you know, because eventually if we start making money, I'll pay you guys. That's all there is to it, you know, and then we can all quit our day jobs.
Wait a minute. wait a minute. You haven't stopped recording, so
Yeah.
this is officially recorded.
Yeah,
Every time
that's right.
record, and you stop the recording. So you're
Yeah,
Remember-
well, I just
remember
want
this
people
date.
to know if you want to see everybody here, start wearing better clothes, getting hats, all that stuff. There was this comedian, and it's one of my favorite lines of all time. He played on Andy of Mayberry. I believe he was Goober, but he was a real comedian. And he said that his family was so poor that they couldn't afford to buy him any clothes. And for his 7th birthday, his father bought him a cap so he could look out the window.
Okay then.
But
No comeback, Kurt.
Yep. And
Nope.
that's a good time to leave, Jan, with that one.
Well, there you go. You have to be into country western to understand that. I'll have to tell that to Robert Scoville. That's it. That's what I'll do.
Is that country
Anyway, with
and
that
western?
in mind, yes, that's it. Well, Goober, just like the name Goober, you might imagine where
I
it's
watch
coming
the
from.
Andy Griffith Show every day, and it's on TV Land here
Yeah.
on
Yep,
YouTube.
yep.
I get YouTube TV, so
Hey, whenever I whistle, that's the only thing I seem to come up with,
So you haven't had time to load your graphics program yet into this new computer? I haven't seen any.
No,
of your
no,
fancy
I didn't
stuff
do
yet?
any. I didn't do any graphics. I just want, because I'm in a hotel room. I just wanted to make sure that it worked. I didn't. I did test the Ecamm and it worked perfectly, but I decided that seeing I'm out of my own element, that I would wait till next week before I would do that. And
Well, you
add
should
those
always
things.
use this camera, because the camera you have normally is out of focus 20% of the time. This camera looks great.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is my iPhone, and probably the reason why the camera looks out of focus on the other one is because I have it set for product mode, so that if I put something in front of it, I'll take it off camera, I'll take it off product mode, so that way it'll be focused on me. But thanks for telling me after 215 million shows or
I've
whatever.
chatted you about it a few times, but
It's 217. This is the 217 show. All right. With that in
All right.
mind, let's say goodbye to everybody. Remember, you make it happen. Stay
Yep.
safe and healthy. Please wish us a lot of luck. If you're into religion, pray for us so that we get this visa. That's all I could say. And thank you for watching, and thank you for coming, and thank you for all the support and everything along those lines. So with that in mind, remember, you make it happen. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you all again next week. And until then, you know what to do. And we are off the air.